So I heard about Sage through Shatara Johnson. We went to high school together, and her and I didn't necessarily get along, but she always said to me, I think you need to come to this girls group. I think you would be good for the group and it would be good for you. Like, you need to come to this group. And so I came. I believe I was a freshman. I was a freshman in high school when I joined.
So you were like 14, 15?
I was like 14, 15, yeah. Because they're lifelong friends. They're a lifelong support system. Like, although we've all kind of gone our separate ways and, some have kids, some have moved to other states for school, so on and so forth, we always, like, find a way to, like, come together and be there for each other when we need to be there for each other the most. So I think that's, like, something that has been, like, the most important, I want to say, when it comes to Sage for me. Well, it's had a big impact in my life because I think just like my adolescence was in Sage, so I learned I was always like someone that was outspoken, but maybe I didn't necessarily always know how to go about it. People thought I was like disrespectful and stuff like that. But Miss Thais nurtured in me that I need to speak up, that, I shouldn't keep my mouth shut for anyone, and that I just maybe need to go about certain things, in a different manner, but that I shouldn't necessarily lose like that aggressive, like, or like that just me being like aggressive or having like a strong personality or a strong attitude, that it's more of an asset than it is a negative thing, because in society it's seen as something that's a bad thing. But Miss Tice was just like, no, it's a good thing. Like, continue to have that like strong personality. And I think that like the morals and stuff that I gained from Sage is just, I have younger siblings, and I think that it's something that I passed on to them as well, or something that I just, in my everyday life, I apply it. So I think that was the question. Education is extremely important. I mean, it was important for me before Sage because my mom always, it was important growing up. But I think that Sage also, like, it was just like, okay, education is important, but finding what I want to do. Not necessarily just going to school to go to school, but more so going to school for something that I like, something that I love, and actually, like, do something with it. Because, a lot of people go to school just to get a degree, but then don't do anything with it afterwards. And womanhood, that's the last aspect. Yeah. I think womanhood, it's taught me to respect other women on all capacities. Because I think that, on, like, society as a whole, you're kind of just brought up to hate on other women, or like, be jealous of other women. And I think that via Sage I learned that we need to work together versus against each other. So I think that, I respect all women now, like, through their struggles, and it's, it's made me a better listener to other women and not to judge women, things like that. I think Nia, which is purpose, I think is really important to me because I'm still 23 and I'm trying to figure out my purpose. And I think that's something that at a very young age you, well, for me, I always, was kind of like focused on what's my purpose. And the older I'm getting now, I realize that, maybe I don't need to look for it as much. It'll kind of come to me. Also faith, which is Imani, because I have faith that my purpose will come to me, and that I have a purpose, and that I will fulfill that purpose, and, be the best person that I could be, or like fulfill my full potential, I guess. And also collective work and responsibility, because I just feel that there's a lot of things that, I may not be like, people may not think that it's my responsibility. Like, example, we were talking about like the womanhood or things like that, but it is my responsibility in a sense, because if I don't speak up or say something, then I'm part of the problem, not part of the solution. So I think that that's something that more so now, especially with everything that's going on with, like, the police brutality and stuff like that, I think that that's something that I feel responsible, like, for my community, and like for people just like me to say something, and if I could play a part in it, I will play a part. Maybe just knowing that things happen when they're supposed to happen. Maybe you shouldn't necessarily like push things. I remember like joining Sage, and all the Sage girls didn't like me because they thought I was so like aggressive and like had like this power trip thing going on. And I think that now I'm just like more relaxed, and I understand that everything happens, or I'm trying to, or always keep in mind that things happen when they're supposed to happen. I shouldn't necessarily push them, and that there's certain battles that I don't need to fight necessarily. Like, like when I joined Sage, I would just like argue for everything, or like would get upset. And now it's just, certain things that I just don't get upset about, that I feel like in that way I've matured, I would say, more so. I don't, it was extremely important. Like, I couldn't picture life without Miss Tice. Like, she plays such a big like role in me like growing up and being the person that I am today, that I couldn't picture not having her. Like, I couldn't. I don't think that I would be where I am today. Like, I just don't. There's a lot of like values, a lot of things that I just don't. I couldn't picture life without it. I think it's extremely important.
Do you want to take a...
It's okay to get help. I think that's the biggest one for me. I grew up in a single parent household, and my parents didn't necessarily ask for help when she needed it. So that's something that I kind of grew up like, don't ask for help kind of. And being in Sage and having like the older girls, it was okay to ask for help. It was okay to be vulnerable, like extremely. Sage was like that space for me to be vulnerable, with the girls. And they just like, even through like my college process, like if I have an issue, I can call the girls and like talk to them about it, or something that has nothing to do with school, just like on a personal level. There's always someone there that's been through something that I'm either going through, or something like that, so they kind of have first-hand experience. That you need to have patience. Patience is a big thing, and that everyone comes from a different walk of life, so you cannot treat everyone the same, and that you need to understand every person's struggle, like on, like, not, I don't know how to phrase this, but like one girl's struggle is not bigger or smaller than the next girl.